smashing through the lies, destroying narratives, and breaking through the mainstream media programming. This is Tomorrow's America.
Hi, my name is Richard Donahue, and I'm here with my co-host, William Donahue, and welcome back to Tomorrow's America. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this to some of your friends that don't usually pay attention to the news, because today is a jam-packed episode. So, Will, what's our first story of the day?
We're going to talk about how Iran is threatening us in the Middle East, and they also want to have discussions with us diplomatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been trying to mess around with us. A lot of interactions near the Suez Canal, which I don't know why exactly. Maybe because we are putting pressure on them, putting our ships over there. But the tensions are rising. So as Will pulls it up, we are going to get into that. Also, along with that story, we have the liberals are recruiting kids and sending them to the ICE protests during school. That's very interesting. If that happened and it was a conservative, I don't think that they would react very happy. I think it would actually be a very poor reaction from them, along with over 1,000 viruses found in a residential home in Vegas. So much has happened, including President Trump's second assassination attempt on the golf course. He has just been served life in prison. So, Will, are you ready to pull it up? Right, here we go.
Yeah.
Will, and I just got that. All right, so what do we got here? U.S. tanker.
So a U.S. tanker was approached by Iranian gunboats in the Strait of Hormuz, security firm says. British maritime security firm Vanguard Tech said Tuesday that a U.S.-flagged tanker was approached by Iranian gunboats, threatened to board the vessel in the Strait of Hormuz before continuing on its way under military escort. So the ship had to be militarily escorted down the Strait of Hormuz because it was being threatened by, I would assume, by Iranian gunboats. I would assume that means the Iranian Navy had ships, or the Marines, or whatever their version of their branches of the military are.
Yep.
But that's like, unless they were not going off of orders, that's a pretty crazy thing, for the country to order their military to do to us. At the same time, they want to have nuclear talks with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you can understand why we've had implications with them in the past. When they want to be very into this death to America, they chant that a lot, death to America. And obviously that symbolizes something else other than just death to all Americans. It means something else to that movement. But I do think that it's very interesting that now they choose to do this after they've already gone and said this. They said that we are going to war with Israel and the West and the United States. They've declared war against us. I think that was, a month and a half ago, a month back. They declared war on us already. So since they've already had a declaration of war, obviously they run their country different. They say death to Israel, death to America, death to the West. But it's just some food for thought. I don't really know how this would play out. Obviously, in a long-term war, they would not be successful. I don't know. I mean, this is just something that, they're dealing with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of uproars. 300,000 people in Iran have been injured during their protests. So they got a lot to deal with.
Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda coming out of that with the protests also. But I think that it's just like the bigger picture of geopolitically what's going on with this is we're at conflict with Russia indirectly through a proxy in Ukraine. We're at conflict with Venezuela, who works with Iran and Russia and China. We are battling with Canada, who's claiming that they're going to side up with China. And basically, I just see it as a massive division globally that is kind of like you pay attention to what's going on with this. This is having to do with us in Israel and the bigger alliances that are formed out of it. There's like directly two sides to this.
Yeah.
That's on a global scale. You got to look at the bigger picture, you know. Along with this as a micro example of what's going on, this is a big deal. Iran is threatening our ships over there. So we either apparently lose our footing in the Middle East to have ships be able to go through the Strait of Hormuz, or we fight Iran, or I don't know, or we have a negotiation of some sort. But there's going to be a result from these type of aggressive, these type of aggressive actions being taken on our ships. I hope there is some resolution to it if we have a strong leader.
Yeah. No, but it's going to be hard because when a regime like the Iranian regime, their backs are against the wall like this, they don't have a lot to lose, you know? So a lot of stuff could happen. They have a lot of opportunities on the table. If I'm a Persian that lives in Iran, I personally don't want to go to the war with the United States because that's asking for a long-term conflict. But most likely with President Trump, he'd try to end it with low casualties, if any casualties. We've seen with the bombing of Fordo, 0 U.S. casualties. We've seen with the kidnapping and retrieving of Nicolas Maduro, the terror leader of Venezuela, 0 U.S. casualties. I think 1 or 2 injured, but 0 deaths, which is the main thing under this presidency. We're trying to see a lot of our stuff. We're showing our guns without hurting our troops, which, you know, as an American, I can appreciate. I don't want to see our troops die over some regime in Venezuela. It's not worth it. That's not our country. We shouldn't have our troops dying for that. So the fact that they've been able to do this with no casualties, these 2 major events, honestly, when you want to consider geopolitics, not like the Russians with Ukraine and Israel-Palestine have been very bloody wars. These 2, you don't see it that much blood, obviously for the United States point of view. But yeah, it's definitely some food for thought just to look into. But do you want to pull this up right here?
Yeah. So I think another angle to look at this, obviously, is that Iran is enemies with Israel, and they can't back down like regionally in their area and just look weak on the world stage. But they don't have, like, Israel wants us to destroy Iran. Mm-hmm. And we've seen with all the conflicts, like the Fordo bombing, we saw that there was advanced knowledge or advanced like signaling that we were going to go bomb Fordo, and now apparently they moved all the materials out. I literally said that at the time, that they should have just either bombed it the day of. They gave them warning. This
Maybe
to me,
talk about it right before you do it for 2 weeks. Like, that part of it doesn't make any sense. I like exactly. It's the same thing with the Epstein files. Like, maybe don't talk about all this and wait 7 months and then do it, because then you look at someone like Jay-Z who fled the country. I mean, it's just 2 similarities.
So, the Iran. Sorry, I'm trying to remember my thoughts. Iran bombed a U.S. military base, but they bombed like close to it or part of a building that no one was in or something. There's basically been these low-level nothing attacks back and forth But these are the escalations that lead to a real war. What's the U.S. going to do? Are we going to take the drug boat approach in the Middle East and like Trump did with the drug boats when he bombed them all? Are we going to bomb those ships that try and go after the U.S.? We already took down a drone. That's what this article is talking about. A U.S. aircraft carrier shot down an Iranian drone that aggressively approached the ship in the Arabian Sea on Tuesday, hours before two gunboats operated by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps approached a U.S. flagged tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, threatened to board and seize the ship, according to U.S. military spokesman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's very interesting because as I had this clip pulled up, what I was showing as we talked there, look at this right here. So this is something that the Iranian military sent out. Obviously, this is just a tweet, but this is an AI-generated image, or I guess video, of a B-2 stealth bomber flying off of an aircraft carrier, and then with the Iranian flag there, they shoot down the B-2 bomber. I think this is very ironic, and let me pull this up real quick. I think this is a very ironic video because, number one, we had multiple B-2s that flew over Iran, and when we bombed Fordo along with the two other sites, I think it was a total of 14 bombs, they had no idea that we even did it until we announced that it was a successful mission. So I think it's very interesting that they would, put that out there. Obviously, fear-mongering, maybe some power to the people in Iran, but it's definitely a very interesting video, and it kind of shows you where they're thinking. At least from what I'm seeing, it shows you that they are positive. Well, I wouldn't say positive either. They're very interested in a conflict with the United States, which, if I'm them, I'm not very confident that we would be able to do something against the United States. I mean, we spend $1 trillion a year on defense and military. So it doesn't even make sense for a small country like that to want to mess with us unless they had like a military backing from a country like Russia or China, but most likely Russia because they're very tight, very close, just like us and I guess the EU or Canada, or like how we used to be at least, but in a way. But I think that's another very interesting thing. Tensions are rising,
Iran has been trying to make a deal with the U.S. They can't make any kind of deal with Israel because that conflict's been going on forever. So they want to make a deal with the U.S. We've seen Trump pull together all those Middle Eastern leaders and create that huge peace board or whatever. Whatever happened to that, I wonder. But Iran wants to make a deal with us. It's Israel standing in the way of us making any deal with Iran. And I guess because we're allies, that makes sense. But Israel and Iran should come to a peace deal of some sort.
How many times have we heard that Israel standing in the way between us and another nation? This happens a lot, especially when it comes to that whole region of the Middle East.
Yeah. Say, hey, if Israel attacks us offensively, the U.S. won't defend them. And sign a deal, and that way there's guaranteed peace. Israel doesn't attack Iran, nothing bad happens. And then we keep walk softly but carry a big stick or whatever Teddy Roosevelt said. He said that about South America, but back then they didn't have airplanes and technology. We use peace through strength and watch over Iran, and if anything happens where Iran attacks Israel offensively, we blow them to high hell.
Yeah, and I think that's a great plan, great course of action. And just to be, I'll be the opposite point of view. From an Iranian point of view, you look at the track history of the United States, and even to your best ally, the Soviet Union, Russia now, we said that we would stop at Western Germany with NATO, and then look at how we instantly approached on the Russian border. So if I'm Iranian, I don't really trust the United States. The benefit of being a part of the United States government is that we are so powerful that they almost have to trust us. That's what you're saying with the peace through strength the Teddy Roosevelt's thing that you were talking about, the big stick. That's why we can do that, is because we can break promises like we have in the past, which obviously I don't agree with, but we can break promises and we still have the strength to back it up and create new deals. With President Trump, he's very tight, very close with Benjamin Netanyahu and this Israel regime. Obviously, he's very intense with them. Benjamin Netanyahu's been in the White House, I think, 4 or 5 times in this last calendar year. So it's definitely interesting. But the last thing I want to see is Iran and the U.S. go into a full-out war like we have with other countries like Iraq, Afghanistan. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have us go into another full-fledged war. I don't want our troops dying. I don't want to waste money and military equipment and then have another $10 trillion like we had under Bush just go into the Middle East in wars for Israel. I'm not trying to get into all that.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I want to go to this article now. This is about our next section, the 1,000 viruses. 1,000 viruses found in a Las Vegas home. So this is an ABC article. 1,000 samples sent for testing after possible biological lab found inside Las Vegas home, FBI. They say the word possible in there to keep things. But why would you have 1,000 samples of viruses in your house?
Yeah, that's not something that you just casually have. That's not something normal that a regular family would have. And that's something that we definitely need to look into, and I want updates on.
Yeah. Well, other things that have come out recently is that somebody sabotaged a bioresearcher's suit, and he was, I don't know if he was like if he contracted Ebola, but he was exposed to Ebola in a U.S. biolab. And there's a virus. It's called the Crimean Congo something. I'm going to pull it up. But there was a guy whose biosuit malfunctioned, and he caught this Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. That's what he caught. And this is, they had a monkey lab. They had a monkey lab in the Rocky Mountain Research Facility or something like that. And the guy was exposed to it and caught the virus. This virus has a 40% kill rate, and it makes you bleed out of your nose and stuff, like in your eyes. I think you bleed out of your eyes and your nose and everything.
Yeah, it's like basically Ebola, which that disease was huge in, like, I think it was 2015. And then even monkeypox. That was another thing that after COVID was coming out and people were super scared. My question is, how does this keep happening? How are we still in 2026 dealing with stuff like this? You look at, and I keep bringing it up because it's fresh, it's new, the Epstein files. Bill Gates and Epstein did a pandemic simulation in 2017. Why? Like, why are we doing that? And then people have theories that Bill Gates could have been involved in the whole COVID process. He always talks about how we're overpopulated. It's super interesting. It's something that, like, obviously you need to pick your own side and come to your own conclusion. But we're here to lay out all the facts for you so you can make your own decision, because the stuff that's happening in the world, people say politics are boring. I completely disagree. I think politics are some of the most interesting stuff going on in the world. I would rather watch a hour-long news segment than you just watch some brain rot TV that's going to give you nothing in life except you're going to memorize the characters. This stuff is happening right now in your world. You need to know what's going on, because if you don't, and stuff happens and you're just lost in the sauce, you have no idea what's going on. I think it would be better if you had a background on some stuff. I got into it a year and a half ago. Will knows a lot more than me, and you can just tell by the maturity of the way that we talk that obviously mine's a more newer viewpoint. But it's super interesting. You need to get into politics. You need to get into religion, find your morals, your ethics, your beliefs, and stay involved.
Yeah, it's like I said yesterday. You are a member of the body of Christ. If you believe in God, you're a member of the body of Christ. The body of Christ has members. So maybe someone's the hands. Maybe you're a lawyer going out and filing lawsuits against your local government. There's levels of corruption to the ceiling. Or maybe you're the feet. Maybe you get things going. You move the movement. Maybe you're the eyes. Maybe you're out there researching, looking for things. Maybe you're the mouth, like me and Richard here are acting as right now, and you're speaking the truth. Jesus said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." So you need to be. This is not a spectator sport. Everyone's a participant, whether you like it or not, because what they do in the halls of government directly affects your daily life.
Yeah, 100%. And then this is something that I really feel strongly about is if you are a religious person, it's almost necessary that you get involved into politics. You might think that it's not and that you don't want to get involved because there's a lot of hatred in the world and all this stuff. And I completely agree. There is a lot of hatred in the world. But as a religious person, especially with Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, I think it's very empowering to have this knowledge because it's literally the world around you. I mean, the world that Jesus lived in had politics, the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire controlled everything. Israel came to be. There's so much stuff that you need to be paying attention to, especially geopolitics, because a lot of it does have, religious context, especially when it comes to, if you want to look back even to like the Crusades. This religious hate that the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, we've battled for literal centuries. It's very important that you get involved and you stay involved 100%.
Yeah. So this article here is about Ryan Ruth, the super spy double agent. No, I'm kidding. He did some weird traveling and was super over there in Ukraine, but he obviously attempted Trump assassin Ryan Ruth was sentenced to life in prison. Do we want to just play this clip for a second and see what they report?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
I got it. It's unmuted.
Trying to stab himself in the neck with a pen just moments after he was found guilty on all counts. Victor Kendo leading us off from Florida tonight.
Tonight, the explosive moment in court after Ryan Ruth was found guilty on all accounts of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course. Ruth attempting to stab himself in the neck with a pen, shown in this courtroom sketch. Officers then swarming him and dragging him out of the room. A jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberating for just 2 hours. Ruth now facing up to life in prison on 5 federal charges. President Trump praising the verdict, saying justice was served.
I'm very appreciative of the justice that was given and the way it was handled by Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche.
The fast-paced trial just a year after the incident, lasting just 12 days. Ruth representing himself, deciding not to take the stand, calling only 3 witnesses in his defense. In his closing arguments, the 59-year-old spoke about himself in the third person, telling the jury the prime opportunity was there for the defendant to shoot the president, and yet the trigger was never pulled, arguing he is innocent. This human being does not have the capability to harm another human being. But the prosecution said Ruth planned for weeks, making 17 trips to scope out Trump International in West Palm Beach, pointing to this note they say was handwritten by Ruth. Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I am so sorry I failed you. Last September, a Secret Service agent spotting a rifle pointing out of the bushes. One agent opening fire. Ruth fleeing the scene.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. Individual in the bush with a gun.
Authorities later tracking Ruth down and arresting him on the side of the road.
David, sources tell us that pen Ruth used to stab himself is specially designed to prevent injuries. He'll be sentenced in December. David?
Victor Kendo leading us off here. Victor, thank you.
Oh,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
that's disgusting. First of all, he said in that letter, he said, "I'm sorry, world. I tried to kill him. I couldn't." Like, that's ridiculous. And then if that's a handwritten letter, then how are you going to say that you're pleading not guilty because you didn't shoot and you didn't kill him, but you're sorry to the world?
Capable of killing someone.
Yeah, it's literally sick.
Yeah. Well, he'll be served his justice, and Trump and the Trump administration could take this as a win. As far as wins go, that's like the first one in a long time, in my opinion. The first time Pam Bondi's ever made an arrest that was meaning anything. Any of Trump's enemies. This guy was just a crazy guy that shot at Trump. But I guess one of Trump's enemies has been arrested. We made it. We're on the board. But yeah, but that was an easy win. Now let's see some real arrests and some real justice.
Yeah, I'm tired of winning. I'm tired.
James O'Keefe just put out a undercover video of FBI agents, of an FBI agent saying that he there's never going to be justice served to any of the Somali fraudsters in Minnesota because these investigations take a long time, and Trump will be out of office by the time that they ever see a courtroom.
Oh my gosh.
So,
well, all right. And then here's my thing. We arrest this guy. All right. That's great. You know, that is a win. But what about Obama? First of all, I think if he is guilty of the Russia hoax or not, he's involved with the Epstein files. We've seen Hillary Clinton send him a letter talking about how they're operating this out of the White House. He needs to be arrested, first and foremost. Secondly, Hillary and Bill. So that's the duo. We need to arrest them 100%. And then
they're going to a hearing in front of Congress.
Yeah, and that's good because they finally agreed to it. They missed their first hearing that they were supposed to have, didn't they?
It's going to be a private hearing, but it's going to be recorded. So
and is that going to get released?
Well, I'm sure people will put out a FOIA request and get the footage, or once it's released, or whatever. But those tapes, that should be a public hearing. What were you doing on Jeffrey Epstein Island? If it's something gruesome and horrible and it implicates the president, we want to know. This is our government. Power to the people. We the people. It says right at the beginning of the Constitution. If you swore an oath to the Constitution, it literally says the first three words, we the people. Yep. Very simple. Give us the information.
Yeah. Also, someone who I think should be tried in court, George H.W. Bush. I think that's very interesting because of what he's done on the yacht, they claim. Also, the English government said that Prince Andrew, no longer Prince Andrew, they just call him Andrew. Prince Andrew formerly is not a prince anymore, and he should be tried in American courts in an American judicial system. So hopefully he can come over and we can get him locked up as well. I'd like to see everyone involved in that arrested. Obviously, that everyone that has a actual part in the files. I mean, I don't know why they haven't been already arrested now.
Jay-Z left the country.
I mean, we should have a decent justice system. Kash Patel needs to buck up and start doing some arrests because there's some people out there that are still living in the real world, with us Goyim, and I think that they need to, be tried by the court of law.
Well, I wonder this: who's the new Epstein? The FBI is 8 years behind on everything. Who's the new Epstein? Is anyone working on figuring that out? Because when Epstein died, the business didn't die, the industry didn't die, the sex trafficking pipeline of tons and tons of little girls and blackmail didn't go away. So we want
to talk about the Epsteins. Well, also, he's a representative of the Rothschilds. So why don't we look into the Rothschilds? Is it because they're very implicated into our banks? Or is that too far? We can't go into the Rothschilds.
Are they above accountability? Are they not citizen? What country are they citizens of? First off,
all of them. I mean, like Rothschild banks. I think the statistic was like 180 countries have Rothschild banks. So I could be mistaken. Let me actually look that up. But I don't. I'm not very sure. You know, one of the countries is Venezuela. If you actually want to look at the 11, I believe that aren't. If you could pull that up and check. I've seen a statistic that 7 of the countries that we haven't, or that weren't a part of the Rothschild banks, we did attack since 2000. Obviously, most were Middle Eastern. It was involved with the 9/11 conflict. That was, you know, a very big deal. But the Rothschilds are a huge, wealthy family. It's been passed down for generations on top of generations. And now we find out that they're involved with the Epstein files. And then not even just that, Epstein's a representative of the Rothschilds. Then if you want to dig even deeper, Peter Thiel is involved in the Epstein files. And then if you want to go even deeper, the freshman senator that became the vice president, J.D. Vance, is involved with Peter Thiel. There's so much stuff that we need to be looking into. And I don't think that we're going to get all the answers because, I mean, how much can we really trust our own government? Clearly not enough, since they said there was no Epstein files. The same FBI regime, there is no Epstein files. The Epstein files were a hoax. If you think there's an Epstein files, I don't want your support anymore. Quote.
They ran on the Epstein files. They ran their campaign on releasing the Epstein files, then fought it, then released a binder that had the same stuff that was already released, and they did a big show about it on the White House lawn. I don't know. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's 5D chess." He was trying to bait the Democrats into wanting to release the Epstein files, and they were too dumb to realize that they were the ones who were in the files. You know, I don't know. It brings down Republicans and Democrats. I don't think there's any real strategy behind it. I think that Trump is worried about his poll numbers and his personal image, and he's not focused on like the actual thing, the Epstein files. He just did an interview that was like, I'm gonna sue Jacob Wolf. I'm saying I think that's his name, or Mark Wolf, something. But I'm gonna sue him because he was writing false stories about me, and he's like, I was this exonerates me, you know. And I am a fan of Donald Trump's, but look at the bigger picture. Someone needs to read him what's in there, apparently, because there's been very little said. If I was him, I would be saying, "Hello, America. I'd like to address the situation with the Jeffrey Epstein file release. We are going to have public hearings for all these figures so that you, the American people, get answers." Mm-hmm. That's what I would say if I was Trump.
The problem is me and you have not taken millions from PACs and money and the AIPAC lobby. So me and you can say that, and we can say that we would do the right thing. But the problem is, and I have it right here, President Trump is supposed to be America first, but nowadays, you know, it doesn't even seem like that. We're not putting America first because we have all this money from PACs and we have all these donors on our ear. And now, I mean, especially AIPAC, it's the American-Israeli Pact. So if they don't want something released or they don't want something taught or we need to cater to them, we have to because we took money from them.
America first. If all of our elites are, from what I gather in the Epstein files, if all of our elites are pedophiles, satanic, you know, bankers and movie stars and everyone is involved with this, America first would be getting these people off our backs, not covering up the information or downplaying it. This is a serious issue. Like,
I agree. And then you look at it, and this whole situation, especially with AIPAC, can radicalize the youth. And the youth is very impressionable, and it can radicalize the youth very, very easy, to where then they're making general assumptions about Jews, which overall is bad. You don't want to make general assumptions about any group of people, black people, white people, Jewish people, people that practice Islam, Christianity. You don't want to make any general assumptions. But when there's top oligarchs that could be involved, and I bear, the Zionists, it's Zionism in general. It's not Judaism, it's Zionism. Zionism is a radicalized form of Judaism. And Zionism believes that they are the top people. Obviously, they call us, the Gentiles, Goyim and Goy, which is a slur, basically. They're calling us basically cattle below them. And I almost compare the Zionists to the Aryans from the 1940s. And, that's an extreme viewpoint, I guess, but not really. Just the way that they think that they're above them. It's the Zionist movement. I think that they believe that they're above everyone else. Just like how the Aryans believed that they were above everyone else. They thought that they were the master race. And the Zionists, obviously, they believe that they're the chosen people. So there's parallels to these two very dangerous groups of people. But, the problem is you call everything anti-Semitic, then you make people anti-Semitic, and that's a very bad problem. Anti-Semitism is a very bad problem. It's very dangerous. Radicalization of the youth is very dangerous, but Zionism along with that is.
Just to simplify it, I said this yesterday, and if you didn't see my Epstein coverage, we did 2 episodes, full episode.
They're great.
In the Epstein files, where I pull things up and talk about it. But yesterday I was saying, so this is a mafia. This is literally organized crime. Okay, in all mafias are made up from an ethnic thing. That way, when you're part of the group, you are more loyal to the group than you are yourself. This is your ethnicity, and you're able to prove it by blood. You can prove the Italian mafia. You had to prove that you were 100% Italian. So it's if this is a mafia, and like we said, Peter Thiel, Ehud Barak, Jeffrey Epstein,
Larry Fink, Larry Silverstein.
Larry Fink, Larry Silverstein. All these people are in the Epstein files, or doing large transactions and, controlling the biggest things in the world. And they're all having this secret network behind closed doors. This is all allegations from what we saw with the Epstein files. But that is a mafia.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's you're 100% Italian if you're in the mafia. So all mafia people are Italian in the Italian mafia, but not all Italian people are in the mafia. And it's the same thing with the Jewish banking whatever mafia that is unfolding. I mean, this is a global mafia that in my opinion, there's a huge global mafia that runs pretty much everything. We saw in the files. I mean, all that stuff, why would you send an email about intentionally creating or allowing a financial crisis to happen in Greece, so that they could use the money to pay off? I think it was the German and the French banks were bankrupt, so they switched things around and moved money around in Europe, and that's at the expense of the people of Greece.
Yeah.
So that level of control over things behind closed doors is, I don't even know, it's more than a mafia. I don't know, it's worse than a mafia.
Yeah. It's the people that are running the world behind, I'd say that you look at the world leaders, we're all puppets. We're all puppets to the people that are on top. And the people that are on top are the oligarchy that we're trying to get rid of. The problem is you will never be able to, because even now, you look at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab passes it down to Larry Fink. So we're never going to get out of it unless, everyone can have a mass realization and wake up. But that also causes radicalization. So it's a very fine line. Just so you know, I'm on 4%. So if you want, I can exit and you can finish the show, or we can do our outro. But I'm cooked. So
No, that's fine. I'm gonna finish and do a segment on ICE and anti-ICE protests. But
Okay.
I know you gotta go anyway, so
all right. I'm just gonna do my little outro. Obviously, hopefully my computer doesn't die. Jesus Christ is King. He is the Lord and Savior. Please, if you have not given your life to God, Jesus Christ, please just look into the Bible. Everything, like with your questions and what you need answered in your life, He has it. So Jesus Christ is King. Love Jesus. He's the way to get to the promised land, which is heaven. So if you want to get to heaven, look into the Word. Follow the Scripture. And find what fits for you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps us out so much. And please share it to at least one person if you can. All right. Well, Will, good luck and have a good show, brother.
thank you.
Yep. Goodbye.
Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's a funny acronym that people like to say, but yeah, definitely, good advice from Rich. So I want to talk about the anti-ICE protest situation. A little context on it. We all kind of know what's going on to a certain extent, but I'm going to show you the extent that these people are willing to go, the lies that have been told about the situation, and the hypocrisy of these so-called, defenders of whatever, people's liberty, or they think that we're in a police state or whatever. They're treasonous to America to go and support illegal immigrants over American citizens who democratically voted the president to do what he's doing. These people want to riot. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is ICE protesters are putting kids out on the streets to go protest ICE. Come on. First off, it's cold in Minnesota, right? It's winter time. They got little kids out in the cold on police hours. And I don't know who these women are. I hope to God the teachers aren't involved. I think there was one state that was going to go after. Oh, it was Texas. Maybe Austin. I think it's Texas. They're going to go after teachers who facilitate this. They're letting the kids walk out during class, staging ICE walkouts, anti-ICE walkouts of students in school. And, I don't know, these are maybe high school kids in this picture, but how low are you willing to go to first push this? And second off, little kids out in the streets. So I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought trying to figure out what is going on here and how this makes any sense to these people. This article here is about the student walkouts again. So the first one was Indiana. Now this one's about Texas. Same thing as the last one. Rich left and he took his administrative control off, and now I am going to be a little choppy with the pulling up the clips. So the first one was in Indiana, the next one was in Texas, and it's happening all over the United States, probably in liberal cities. But as anti-immigration and customs enforcement protests have ignited across the U.S., demonstrations were also underway at Central Texas. On Monday, students in several Austin area school districts walked out of their classroom to protest the recent ICE activity seen in cities like Minnesota and Los Angeles. Make it sound like the students just grew a set of nuts and said, "Screw school, I'm out of here. I'm going to protest ICE." But how is it that they're doing that in Texas? They're doing it in Minnesota. I think they're doing it in Arizona. And if I had to guess, I would say that they're going to start doing it in Seattle if they haven't already. My laptop dropped out, but I was done with that article anyway. So, kind of a big deal, putting kids out there, and this is a nationwide thing. Oh, yep, I got kicked out of the thing on my laptop. So, the next thing I had for you is, well, I could just say this part while it loads. Billie Eilish at the Grammys, or at the Billie Eilish at the Grammys. Yep. She said, she got on stage, she wanted a virtue signal. She said, "No one is illegal on stolen land," right? Well, now the Native American community has come out, and for years they've been trying to knock down the house that she lives in, because I think someone was telling me that they said it was on like a Native American burial ground. That detail, I'm trying to scan the article. Oh, here we go. Oh, trying to scan the article to show you. Okay. So I got my laptop back plugged in. Here we go. Nope. Oh, there it is. All right. So, sorry about the ads. I don't pay for I don't pay for streaming on here for any of the websites or any of their subscriptions. There it was. Okay. Sorry to put the show to a halt like that. There it is. Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish. Band of, okay. The tribe went on to share. They partnered closely with the Recording Academy to author the official land acknowledgement statement shared during Grammy Week at the premiere ceremony. The spokesperson concluded, "The Recording Academy has been an incredible partner to our tribe. We look forward to continuing relations to ensure our voices of our people in this land are heard." Yeah, so her house is literally on Native American land that their people are asking for to get back, and she won't sell it to them or knock it down. She could move somewhere else. I don't know where she'd have to move, but she won't. But she's willing to come out and make the statement, "No one's illegal on stolen land," and try and win people over by signaling that she's a virtuous person, while at the same time not give up your land. If you want us, or you want America to lose its entire country, then you give up your house, move in somewhere that no Native American tribes are trying to fight, or go move back to England or whatever. I guess since we came here and stole the land, why don't you lead by example, go back to England or wherever your family came from, and get out of the country. Simple as that. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Okay. Now this video. Oh, before the video. So we're trying to deport people, right? Mexicans don't want to go back to Mexico because Mexico has turned into a narco state. So why would we turn America into Mexico? Why would we allow tons of illegal immigrants to come in and vote without citizenship and try and influence our politics, knowing that they came in and had money paid to them by the Biden administration, and now Trump looks aggressive towards them. So you know which way they're going to vote. Why we let these people in? They could be cartel or gang members. Here's an article. This here says Mexicans deported from the U.S. return to find hometowns controlled by narcos. That means that they've turned it into a cartel drugs dealing place where they used to live, which I would assume that it's been like that for a long time. But why would we bring these people in here knowing that they're gonna potentially be to the cartel? I have a article here. Oh, here. All right, we'll see what we get because I had a video, and this one is okay. Well, I had a video, and it was basically explaining that the attacks that ICE has done, that they claim are attacks on innocent people. You know what? I'll play it a different time because I don't have it right now, and I'm not gonna get caught up on it. But a lot of what you hear is not true. So carefully look at things. If you see a 10-second clip of something and you think, "Oh my God, he just punched her for no reason," or whatever, see if there's a full video that you could watch with some context instead of basing your judgment on something small. But the guy picks it apart good, so I'll play it a different time. But and then I also had another article. It was about a cartel member that killed somebody in the United States or something like that. So, okay, now from Right Angle News Network, breaking: a black ICE agent is going viral after asking a leftist if they are a man, causing the leftist to turn around, crash out, and call the agent a house N-word as they drove off. This is the loving left that's supposed to be super pro-minority and part of the alliance. She's trans, so remember, they have the brown stripe on the LGBT flag because black people are their ally. But this guy, who's not even doesn't even have anything to do with LGBT, he's arresting illegal immigrants. It's less of an allyship and more of a cult to me. But she calls him the N-word. So let's play this clip and see what we.
Like we should rip people apart from their families.
Are you a man?
Wow. Wow, is that a question?
Wow.
Okay.
How do you feel about ripping people from their families?
Does that feel good?
The fucking house nigger here. Sir, I need to move. Fucking house nigger working for the fucking KKK. What's wrong with you people?
Why are you calling a woman a man? I mean, what kind of a guy does that?
We fucking house nigger,
fucking neighbor.
Yeah.
Like we should rip people.
Actually, we should break down this video. Like we should rip people away from their families.
Are you a man?
What happens if you get caught drinking and driving? You don't get to just drive your kids home because you have kids with you. You go to jail, the police find out who the mother is or who could care for them, and they take care of the kid until either the father is released from jail or whatever, or until they get put into a suitable home. But so that's just what happens when you're a criminal and you want to come into the country illegally. This is what happens. So wrong on that logic.
Wow.
But a real man, which that she is totally a he. And it's funny that they see the left can just literally turn off their brains and play stupid about basic things like biology. But you know, then she calls him the N-word. So you're willing to put your children out in the streets. Okay, just the general mindset, compile everything. The general mindset is that you're willing to put your people on the streets in the cold, or your kids on the streets in the cold to protest ICE because you're so pro-minority and you're the party of love and everyone should come here. But then you call a black person the N-word. Do we not see how this doesn't make sense? So I'm gonna try and play you guys another song just because the Epstein files and with everything that's going on. I write these songs and I have them put out, or I have them made. I write the lyrics and then I have them made by an AI song generating app called Suno, and they're pretty good. So I'm gonna close out the show by playing you one of my songs. I have a song about Hillary Clinton that I wanted to play, but I also have another song that is pretty interesting. Actually, yeah, we'll just play the Hillary Clinton song.
Yeah. Yo, Hillary.
Sorry about that. Okay, so to close out the show, I want to say thank you for watching. Like Richard said, Christ is King, and we will be doing another episode of the Epstein Files. We'll be doing multiple episodes because it's such a big topic that, like yesterday, I left the show almost with like a heavy feeling, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I did a good show. And I watched it and it was good information. It went well. It was a good show, but it's a heavy lift to talk about, and there's no possible way that you could do the subject justice, because you can't talk about it. If I wanted to cover Epstein, I would literally have to talk for like a month if I wanted to read all the files, but I can't. So I felt guilty. Then I watched it and I felt better about myself. But we're going to be covering that heavy. So anyone that's interested in the Epstein files, send our other videos to them, introduce them to the channel. Maybe they'll watch the rest of our content and like what they see. But yeah, so thank you for watching Tomorrow's America. I'm William Donahue, and I hope that you enjoy my song. This is on YouTube on the channel The Citizens Report, and that should be in the description of our YouTube channel. When you go to our YouTube channel, it'll say Will's channel, and it's The Citizens Report. So thank you and enjoy the song.
Yeah, Hillary. I wish Monica would have done it better. I wish Bill would have left you and handed in his resignation letter. Maybe then you both be gone and our country can function better. Was it you two, Barack and Joe's handlers, their instruction letters? Hold up, some people aren't there yet. Run it back from the beginning, Hillary. I wish I could say it to your face. I think you and Bill were a disgrace to the United States. And in 1975, you took a case publicly. You said it was immoral, but you took it anyways. You helped a man get away with rape, but judge asked you do it so your power elevates. Now let me remind you of a few names. White House Council 1993, Vince Foster. Suicide, but the show was never found. James Abdul, a key witness, had a heart attack. The ambulance drove him all around. 1999, JFK Jr. was leading the Senate race. His plane went over the Atlantic and it never touched down. Mary Mahoney, White House intern, star witness. Before she testified in his impeachment case, she got shot with 5 rounds. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Do I think you're corrupt? Absolutely. No accountability, someone had to expose you. Now everyone knows that your free reign is over. You want to re-educate me, you want to put me in a camp. I'm not the one pushing for war in Iran. You want to teach me something. Leave the thinking of me and worry about your husband. You got something you want to say to me. First tell us all about the kidnappings in Haiti. You want surveillance over me, you work for me. Where's your emails from? Benghazi? Hold that on Clinton Foundation property. How could he shoot himself in the chest and hang himself from a tree? What happened to Epstein? I was hoping you would know you. Bill Ghislaine and Jeffrey were pretty close. Sean Lucas, attorney in a fraud case, died. Wonder why. What happened to him is classified. Walter Sheen, White House chef, drowned before the election. Seth Rich shot after an email leak. He had a connection. What happened to John McAfee? Said he never harmed himself. If he did, he was whacked. When he died and it came out, he had information stashed. Shortly after, his whole apartment building collapsed. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Do I think you're corrupt? Absolutely. No accountability, someone had to expose you. Now everyone knows that your free reign is over. You want to re-educate me, you want to put me in a camp. I'm not the one pushing for war in Iran. You want to teach me something. Leave the thinking of me and worry about your husband. You got something you want to say to me. First tell us all about the kidnappings in Haiti. You want surveillance over me, you work for me. Where's your emails from? Benghazi?
Yo, Hillary, next time you want to label half the country a political term from the past, take a look into your past. It ain't pretty.